All right, this is faulty assumption number 6 for those of you who have been waiting. When I wrote my book, The Super Couple, A Formula for Extreme Happiness in Marriage, just for those of you who are seeing this video for the first time and didn't see the first 5, I set out to discover were super couples accidental in finding someone who makes them extremely happy, i.e. their soulmate, or was there in fact a formula? And there was a formula. My whole book chronicles the sacred formula, SACRED, and what that acronym stands for. But before I could find out what it took to make an extremely happily married couple, I had to start my interview question somewhere. And so the beginning of my book starts with what I've been calling my faulty assumptions. What I thought probably made them super, totally off base. The 6th one is simply this: they were more alike than different. That sounds like a reasonable assumption, doesn't it? After all, most people who come to me with a broken marriage or a divorce or just sad or need counseling say to me, "Oh, we're just so different. It'll never work." And I say, well, welcome to the world, because most couples are different, and different isn't the problem. I found this with my super couples as well. Most of them were, in one sense, more different. But when we're referring to more different than alike, what I've also noticed is that we're typically looking at the components of extroversion versus introversion, and then what comes with that. Because when they say, my husband loves car shows, I hate car shows, okay? My spouse loves hunting, well, I hate hunting, I'd rather be with a big group of people. When we talk about introversion and extroversion, again, a vast majority of the couples that I interviewed were an introvert married to an extrovert. Why? Because when you're attracted, you've got the outgoing one who does all the talking, and the introverted one loves it because they don't have to do all the talking, and vice versa. You've got the quiet one and the talkers intrigued by them because they listen to everything we, the talkers, are saying. So there's so many times you'll find an introvert married to an extrovert. So that's the beginning of this. You guys think you're too different than alike. But what comes with that is, as extroverts, because we get our energy from the outer world, people, places, events, the hobbies, the things that we like to do, are also things that would feed or energize an extrovert. For instance, me, I loved running marathons. I can hang out with 20, 30, 50,000 of my closest friends on race day. I love going to parties because, remember, extroversion and introversion are about actual physiological energy. So I'd be tired and I could go to a party and, I'm in such a good mood because I'm an extrovert. So being around other people, wanting to be around other people, being energized around other people, and then makes me nicer, makes me happier. So I will tend to hang out with other girlfriends or other people who are an extrovert as well, who like the same kinds of activities. As a matter of fact, just an FYI, statistics show that your spouse tends to be your opposite in many ways, because what I said at the beginning of this, we're intrigued by the person who will listen when I'll talk. But our best friends, our girlfriends, our guy friends tend to be just like us, because our girlfriends and guy friends aren't there to sharpen us, the two shall be as one, and get off our rough edges, though they will do that. Our girlfriends and our guy friends are those with whom, I want to go to the movies. I want a girlfriend that wants to go to the movies. I want to go running. I want a girlfriend that can go running. My husband loves hunting. All of his friends love hunting. So when it comes to our BFFs, they tend to be just like us in terms of our hobbies and our activities. But when it comes to our spouses, it's not the same. So when we talk about introversion and extroversion, more super couples are different. And we have to be very careful that we do not disdain our spouse for being different. Now, I was kind of trying to figure out how much I should put in this video, and I realized this is bigger than a one-time video. This is going to be I'll do one just on introversion and extroversion to kind of really delve more deeply into this topic. But rest assured that just like these extremely happily married couples that I interviewed, more of you tend to be different than alike. And when I get sick of you, when we're having brokenness in our marriage, when I said we're just too different, it's because we're having a rough patch. And I don't like our differences anymore. And I tend to disdain you as a person rather than just your activities. In happy marriages, the couples are like, honey, go have a good day golfing, enjoy it. And then they talk nicely about their spouse. My spouse loves golfing, he's so good at it. But it doesn't mean she has to go with him or he has to go with her. our negative attitudes come when the marriage is getting bad. For other reasons, any reasons, we tend to then start focusing on the ways that we are different than the ways that we are alike, because our mind won't allow us to say, I'm so mad at my husband. We're so much alike, right? If I'm mad at him and I think we're alike, it's almost like damning myself, right? Christine, you're bad too. Then it's like, okay, we're so different. He's the problem. She's the problem. Before I end this and talking about this, I do want to touch on something that you might be going, wait a minute, Christine. There's a theory out there called the theory of matching. And the theory of matching says that we're much more attracted to the people who are just like ourselves. And you're thinking, well, doesn't that go against what you just said? No, it doesn't. The theory of matching is more about physical attractiveness and social status. They find that very pretty people are attracted to other pretty people. Mediocre, average-looking people are attracted to average-looking people. There's a great video out there that I will try to post with this video. Not making promises, maybe I'll post for the future one, but you can look up the theory of matching and the experiments they've done with, if I know I am gorgeous, which it's never been my problem, I can hold out for the best looking guy at the school. You think about, why is the captain of the cheerleader dating the captain of the football team? Because status wise, looks wise, popularity wise, they know that they don't have to choose the 1 in 10, the one that everybody doesn't think is attractive. They can choose from the whole pool of people. But if you get someone who societally thinks, he or she is just attractive in looks or in size, he or she is going to, by social examples throughout his or her life, start to think, well, I could never get that 10. I'm just a 2. And so they start looking at 2s. And other 2 women will start looking at other 2s and 3s men. When they've done this statistically, they've matched up. Someone who thinks they're a 3 will tend to match up with someone who's either a 2, a 3, or a 4. Very close. Someone who thinks they're 7 will tend to match up with a 6, a 7, or an 8, but always very, very close. So when we talk about the theory of matching, we're talking about physical attractiveness. When we're talking about being happy in your marriage, we're not talking about that at all. We're talking about differences in our likes, our dislikes, our attitudes. The one thing that all of us are the same in is our beliefs, in terms of liberals tend to marry liberals, Democrats tend to marry people who have more democratic views. People who are more conservative tend to marry other conservatives. Christians tend to marry other Christians, even though they're not necessarily from the same denomination. Atheists tend to be attracted to other atheists or agnostics, or people who can be similar in their thoughts. That's what actually attracted you to your boyfriend or girlfriend when you first started dating, because you had these conversations and you agreed on many of these things. So I hope this helps, because remember, the 6th faulty assumption to what it takes to have a super marriage, an extremely happy marriage, is that you have to be more alike than different. Not true. A lot of times you're much more different than alike. But you love that which you have, what you've seen in each other, at least when you're dating. Don't gauge this by the broken days, okay? That's a little bit different. Because when things are rough, we focus on all the bad that we can, and we kind of avoid the good. We have to exercise our brains to focus on the good, to get our marriage from bad to good. As a matter of fact, in the sacred formula, that's the A, attentiveness. Super couples, and I'm jumping ahead to a future video here. Super couples pay attention to that which their spouse does well, and not that which they do poorly. They have to focus on what they do poorly at times, but their daily focus is on what they do well. So hope you learned something from this. I'd love to see your comments and hear your remarks. And what about you and your spouse? Boyfriend and girlfriend, what are you guys different in? What are you similar in? What were you attracted to? All of that can be fixed. Love is what's going to keep us together, and we'll learn what love truly is. All right. God bless you. You know where to find me. Please go to my website, and don't just stay here on YouTube. This has been your informational Bacon Bit. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon, and I want to remind you always to live your life sunny side up.